Let's go to the NIL being moot in college football and the Power Five breaking apart from the Group of Five. This is per reporting from ESPN and Ross Dellinger. The prevalent talk here is that the Power Five and Group of Five is set for a split, and the reason being the NCAA is approaching a settlement this week. We've talked about this on the show quite a bit. This settlement means that schools across the country will pay $20 million to their athletes, and from Title IX, they'll split it up from men's to women's sports. And maybe the biggest takeaway for me right off the bat here is it is going to hurt schools like an Iowa State, who we know don't have elite revenue numbers, like a Cincinnati, who don't have elite revenue numbers, or Houston. Can they afford that $20 million? The answer right now is no. They're going to have to move things around. But maybe even crazier than that, this, as ESPN has hinted at, could kill off NIL completely as we know it. If your school has just appointed an NIL board or NIL director or this collective group, and you've got, Project X, the NIL collective at NC State, that is something that everyone's moved forward with in college football because they have to have it. Because if you don't have that, you're behind the sport in NIL. But when schools start doling out $20 million to athletes, the focus is no longer on NIL collective and, hey, come to our school because we can promise you that you'll get a Maserati as a part of our brand deal. Instead, it is our school is focused on how we can pull $20 million out of our butt every year and try to give it to you, the student athletes. And by the way, a part of this entire settlement with the NCAA that's worth $2.7 billion. Some of this money is going to come directly from schools. Like we are cutting your revenue stream from the NCAA. Oops, sorry. Per Ross Dellinger, the settlement framework is also a stressor between power leagues and all others, a marriage nearing collapse. Sonny Dykes said this a couple of weeks ago, and I wish I could attribute the quote to the outlet. He said, Louisiana Tech and Alabama are playing a different brand of football. And most of the country looked and pointed and laughed and said, you lost to Georgia 65-7 or whatever it was. You're playing a different brand of football. But he's right. At the root, he's 100% correct. At what Alabama is doing in their future in football is completely different from Louisiana Tech. What Kansas State is doing in college football in Utah is completely different from Louisiana Lafayette. That is true. And now you're seeing that with this new revenue sharing model that's going to think about a school like Kennesaw State, University of Central Arkansas, North Florida. I know those are schools you probably don't care about and probably haven't heard of on the whole, but how do they do this revenue sharing thing? Like the other schools going on $20 million, they have to move some stuff around and try to figure that out. How are you going to justify a Louisiana Tech paying $20 million to its athletes every year? It cannot. It cannot. Dellinger continues. Big East Commissioner Val Ackerman strongly objects to a $70 million tab her league may owe in damages and seeks a new plan to the one the NCAA and Power Five orchestrated. That's a quote that she wrote. And she had written that letter trying to piece together how the Group of Five could not be screwed over as much as they are. And that vote is coming this week. There are conference commissioners, presidents, the powers that be, they're getting together right now and trying to decide whether or not the NCAA will settle on current terms. That settlement, as has been mentioned, will lead to the college athletes being paid directly from their schools, the NIL collectives becoming a lot less relevant, and the Group of Five also taking a major hit. There's also a clause in here that says, in essence, the Power Five can do effectively whatever it wants. There's almost this self-governing aspect to where the NCAA wants to go in this settlement. And a part of that, in my opinion, is because Charlie Baker, the president, is losing he's losing all rapport and power. If you're the SEC, you're Greg Sankey. If you're Brett Yormark, you look at the NCAA and say, what a flippin' dumpster fire. Why are we here? What's the point of being an NCAA school, being an NCAA conference? These powers are asking themselves. And the response from the governing body of college athletics is, what if we created what's called autonomous conferences? What if now you Big Ten, you SEC, you Big 12, you Power 5, they're still using Power 5 because in these discussions, the Pac-12 still exists. And by the way, 12 Pac-12 presidents are going to meet this week, and it's going to be a super awkward Zoom call. It's kind of funny. Is that crass to be funny? I think it's funny. The crux of that is, you guys just kind of play on your own terms. The group of five can't. The group of five cannot. We can't. We don't know what to do with you. You don't have enough sway and power. And sorry, that whole deal about how like basketball is going to be still a big moneymaker and the Big East can survive off that. Not really sure if that's going to be a huge thing. Dellinger continues. The NCAA Board of Governors plans to meet Thursday when they are expected to review and potentially authorize the settlement as well, according to Ackerman's letter. Big East leaders are expected to further discuss the matter Tuesday from their league meetings in Florida, and College Sports Insider described this week as the most consequential in college sports history, as leaders not only approve the massive back pay terms, but also agree on a framework around a new model that will topple amateurism once and for all. No longer are there college athletes. Now they are professional athletes who go to college. That's the main thing to understand from this. As the Power Five gets this autonomous moniker, and as the Group of Five goes away, and as now we pay our athletes directly from the school, I need you to know there's no such thing as amateur athletics at the collegiate level anymore. There are paid athletes who also go to college. Student athlete, not a thing. Paid athlete who goes to class is a thing. So when Dabo Swinney comes out and says, oh, we're not going to do it like that around here, we have student athletes still. No, that's not how this works. Jim Phillips says, and this is per Dellinger as well, this is a seismic shift in college athletics. It's not a matter of if it's going to happen. It's not a matter of if it's going to happen. The settlement is here. Paying college athletes is here. The big reason the settlement is here itself is because if you don't settle that $2.7 billion and you do lose outright in court, there is a $20 billion price tag that's due right away and not in 10 years, not spread out amongst 10 years. And the NCAA at that point would file for bankruptcy. That is a bad thing. And I do want to, as we wrap up this part of the show, mention not enough people are talking about this. Not enough people are indulging in this content because it's tough to understand and it's tough to like dumb down why it's happening and how it's happening. But in essence, what you need to know, the thesis of what you need to know from right here, from the research that's been done on my part, is the Power Five is taking a hit monetarily in a huge way. Everybody is, with the Power Five specifically, because now you know that you're going to have to pay $20 million per school to your student athletes. That is going to happen this week. NIL collectives, if you've just been appointed the director of NIL at a school, sorry, that is going to go away. The focus is going to become on how do we pay our athletes straight out of the pockets at the university. The Group of Five, it's splitting up. The autonomy amongst power conferences is the future of college athletics, and that does not include Louisiana Tech. There is no way to justify keeping everybody there together. And those are the three big points that I give you today, and it's going to change over the course of the week. It's going to be a wild week. Coming up, the ACC could kick schools out. What? This is Locked On Big 12, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Today's show is brought to you by FanDuel. Look, FanDuel is where I go every day to say, I wonder what this strikeout prop for Cole Reagans of the Kansas City Royals is. Or, hey, the Dallas Stars are playing a hockey game. I could bet on them to win the hockey game. Or the NBA. There were some Game 7s you can go to FanDuel and bet on. And right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 bet. That's right, bonus bets. Any winning $5 bet, 150 of them if you bet on spreads, money lines, player props, and more. Visit FanDuel.com/lockedon to make every playoff shot count. FanDuel is America's #1 sports book. Visit FanDuel.com. Bet on the Dallas Stars to win their upcoming series and go to the Stanley Cup final. If you don't know what that means, that's fine. I still think it's going to happen. I don't even know if I know fully what it means, but FanDuel has got me covered with the Dallas Stars, and that $5 can turn into $150 in free play. FanDuel.com/lockedon today.